Hey, if I were to ask you the question today, who are you? What would you say? Not the rehearsed answer, not the bio, not your social media profile or LinkedIn. But if you had to honestly just sit for a second and then speak, what would you say? No one to impress, just the truth. See, most people would start with their role. They'd say, I'm a mom, husband, father, business owner. Or they talk about their history, where they come from, where they grew up, or, their accomplishments. I built this company, I hit this number, I made this much money. Some people would even talk about their struggles. I've been through this, I've been through that, and I've survived. And every single one of those answers would be a mask. Not factually wrong, but categorically wrong. Because none of these things are your identity. They're masks. False identity categories that you stepped into in order to survive, in order to be accepted, in order to function. And the truth is they've been running your life so long that you forgot that they were costumes. The last episode, I introduced the concept. And today, I want to walk through all 8 masks in small detail. But I want you to listen with your body, not just your head, not just your ears, because your body already knows which one you wear. Or maybe you wear more than one. Your mind is the one that has been calling them you. So let's go through them. Number 1, the relationship mask. This mask is the one that says, I am who you need me to be. This is the self that learned early and often that belonging is something you earn by disappearing. You shape yourself into, here's the way, you shape shift for every space that you're in, for every room. You say yes when you mean no. You anticipate other people's needs before they ask, absorb their emotions. Because in some sense, you learned somewhere that their comfort was your responsibility. The emotional contract is basically, I will abandon myself so you don't abandon me. But see, it's got a cost, right? Every one of these masks have a cost. You're loved by everyone, but you're known by no one. Because the person everyone loves is the mask. The real you that has anger, exhaustion, wants to be alone sometime, actual needs, that real you stays in the background, stays invisible and hidden. And the loneliness inside that arrangement is something that no amount of social connection can touch. Underneath, who are you? Someone capable of deep connection without self-erasure, that's who. Someone whose presence does not require a costume. How about religion mask? The mask that says, I'm the good one. I follow these beliefs. I have the right theology. I serve in the right way. This is the self that performs purity so that it doesn't get punished, that avoids shame. Spiritual language becomes the shield, right? Doubt feels like disloyalty or death. Anger feels unholy. Grief suggests God did not come through. And that thought is so dangerous to hold, we just sort of push it down. And it creates an emotional contract, just like every mask does. And that contract says, I will be the pure one. I will be the holy one. I will be the faithful one. So I never have to feel condemned again. But what's the exchange? Your faith makes you less human instead of more human. You bring a performance into the presence of a God who already sees and knows everything. And the split between holy me and actual me robs you of the very intimacy that the faith that you hold was supposed to produce. But underneath there's someone whose faith is strong enough to hold doubt, grief, and honesty without breaking. Now the resume mask. This mask just basically says, I am what I achieve. This is the self that turned competence into identity because output was the only thing that reliably earned respect. Your worth rises and falls with your last result. What have you done for me lately? What have I performed lately? Rest feels illegal, if not lazy, at the minimum. Weekends are dangerous, and every hour you're not producing, the old feeling seeps in. Oh man, without this, I'm really nothing. You tell yourself, I'll be the producer so I'll never have to feel worthless again. and then your health begins to fail and your relationships start to go sideways, your ability to be present is gone. Your partner gets the leftover version of you, and your kids, the distracted version of you. You can't sit in a moment without optimizing it because stillness threatens the only identity you know. But the truth is that underneath there is someone whose value doesn't clock in and out. Someone who can just rest without justification because their worth is not hosted on a spreadsheet or a calendar. How about this one? The recreation mask. Hey, I'm fine. This is the self that uses pleasure for anesthesia. Screens, scrolling, shopping, substances, sports, another episode, another cart, another drink, another vacation, another fun weekend, another hunting trip. Anything to mute the signal that would ask you to make a hard move or feel a hard feeling. You say to yourself, man, I don't want to feel all this. I'm going to stay numb so I never have to feel the weight of what I'm avoiding. And then the cost of this is that our rest leaves us emptier than before. When we do try to take a relaxing moment, we call it relaxation, but our body says it's escape. And then you need more and more and more and more to get the same relief. And the avoided thing, the conversation, the decision, the grief, the emotion, it grows teeth in the silence, right? But the truth be known is underneath there's someone who can choose joy on purpose after touching truth first. Someone whose play actually restores them instead of sedates them. Mask number 5, the mask of rules. I am the compliant one. This is the self that follows rules nobody even asks you to follow. Structure is sort of like Linus's security blanket. When the plans change, you don't feel inconvenienced. You feel existentially threatened. Because somewhere you learned that rigid order was the only barrier between you and total chaos, the end of the world. You tell yourself all the time and sign contracts, I will obey perfectly so nothing explodes. But the reality is you're brittle. Principles scale, but rigid rules shatter. You judge yourself savagely for small mistakes. And because you judge yourself that harshly, you judge others as well because they don't follow the systems that they never agreed to follow. And the spontaneity, the creativity, the flexibility that a full life requires, it feels like a threat to your survival. But underneath all of that, you are someone who can hold principles with range, whose structure serves life instead of replacing it. How about this one, the responsibilities mask? Hey, I'm the dependable one. I carry everything. I can handle this. I carry other people's burdens and emotions, the outcomes of their life, their messes. And you don't even ask for help, right? You believe if you carry everything, everything's going to be okay. And if you stop carrying everything, everything would collapse. You think that when you're exhausted, that means that you've proven that you matter. You'll say to yourself, I hold it all together so I never have to feel out of control again. You end up becoming the martyr. But the martyr status has no benefits. You're running on fumes and calling it strength, and you're so consumed with everyone else's weight that your own life goes unattended. And the quiet belief underneath that you only matter when you're useful, that keeps you chained to a load that was never yours to carry. But the truth is, the person underneath all of that is someone who understands that stewardship includes taking care of yourself. Steward of oneself. Someone who can set down what is not theirs without feeling like the world would end or that they're bad. How about the reasons mask? Mask number 7. This is the mask that says I'm the logical one. The person that explains emotions instead of having them, analyzes everything but feels nothing. You have frameworks for your frameworks. Oh, don't ask me how I know. Debate replaces confession. Understanding experience replaces experience. And you're more comfortable in your head than in your body because somewhere you learned that thinking was safer than feeling. The contract that you have, I'll figure it all out so I never have to feel heartbreak again. But what does that give you? Disconnection. Not from others, but from yourself. You can talk about your pain with remarkable sophistication, but you never touch it. Reason serves truth when it partners with sensation. Without that partnership, it's just a very educated form of avoidance. It's just hiding. But underneath all that, there is someone whose intelligence and emotional depth can merge, can marry, can work together, can walk together. Someone who can name the feeling and take a step back instead of analyzing the feeling into oblivion. Mask number 8, the roles. This is the mask that says, I am the person that gets applause rather than the person who risks rejection. This is the self that lives inside a title, a brand, or a position. You use your role voice at the dinner table. You feel pressure to be on guard and on duty and on performance almost 24 hours a day. You don't know who you are when nobody needs anything from you, and so you always are looking to try to meet a need. Your real identity, though, is not a position. It's a presence. But the position has been so rewarding that you forgot the difference, right? I'm going to stay in character, you say, so I never have to risk being seen without a script. I've always got the answer. But that produces chronic loneliness, imposter syndrome, no off switch, burnout, difficulty transitioning out of roles when seasons change, because every role that changes, every time a role changes, it feels like an identity crisis. And underneath it all, the question that terrifies you the most is, if I am not this title, this brand, this persona, then who am I? I'll tell you who you are. You're someone who can inhabit roles without being consumed by them, someone who exists even when the curtain comes down. 8 masks, 8 false identities, 8 survival strategies that have kept you alive, that are now keeping you in chains, honestly, keeping you imprisoned. Most people are not wearing one. They're wearing 3, 4, layered on top of each other, reinforcing each other, creating a system so complex that the person underneath doesn't even remember that they exist. And that's what being buried looks like. That is why you feel exhausted. That is why you did everything right. Got the career, got the relationship, the body, the health, the followers, the promotion, the esteem, the public opinion, but you still feel like a stranger in your own life. The masks are not who you are. They are what you built to survive. And the person underneath them does not need fixing. You're not broken. They need finding, releasing. Let me paint you the picture. Picture losing your job and feeling the grief without the identity crisis. Because the resume mask was something you wore, not someone you were. The loss is real, but it's not total. Picture your marriage going through a hard season and being present without the relationship mask taking over. Not because not managing your spouse's emotions. Not performing peace, just a full human being in the middle of a crisis, having a hard day and a hard time, experiencing difficulty. Picture a Saturday with nothing on the calendar and the recreation mask not reaching for the remote, the phone, the bottle, the ball. Just a person sitting in a life, needing nothing from the moment except to be in it. Picture telling your story at church, the real one, not the religion mask version, and feeling the room hold it instead of judge it. Because you brought the actual thing instead of the edited thing. The actual things connect in ways that performances never can. Sure, performances connect with us on a screen, but the script is meant to bring us to an end. When we're writing a script in life wearing a mask, we didn't even know we were living out a role we didn't even know we auditioned for. It's never going to connect. Picture standing in a room with no title, no role, no function. And instead of panic, there's presence, because you know finally, for the first time, who you are without the costume. And that's enough. That is the unbound life. And that is what is on the other side. And every single one of those pictures is available to you. The minute you stop building on top of the mask and start uncovering what is underneath them, Listen to me. If any of those masks hit your mind today, hit your body, and I would bet at least 2 of them did, then let's talk. Let's have a conversation, not about a program, but about you and about what you've been carrying, about what it would mean to finally put it down. So message me, UNBound, and let's set you free. Freedom for life. Are you listening?